Today, I want to shed light on this silent but serious disease, which many people are probably walking around without knowing they have it. This disease is a silent battle within the largest organ of our body. Well, being the largest organ in our body, it has about 500 different functions in combination with other organ functions. And so you can imagine this is doing a lot of work for our body. So I think we need to pay attention to this. We can help our liver win against the war for this disease. Talking about fatty liver disease. An increasing number of obesity cases is driving an epidemic of a condition of excessive fat build up in the liver. That means we don't need to be an alcoholic or even drink alcohol to get fatty liver. We just need to be more fat, or we can get fatty liver. Most individuals with fatty liver don't have symptoms. Fatty liver is a disease that everyone is at risk, including our children. It is dietary and lifestyle driven that can lead to liver failure or cirrhosis. That's irreversible, and it can also lead to liver cancer. The good news is fatty liver is at an early stage of the more serious diseases, but it does open up for a gateway for those serious, non-treatable, and irreversible conditions. So why not take action now before that progress? So we can reverse fatty liver disease if we change our diet and lifestyle. Hey, what's up? It's Dr. Adelita, your weekly host here in our Lifestyle Changers MD group, and your weekly dose of knowledge and motivation to help you take back control of your health and of your life. Today, I want to shed light on this silent but serious disease, which many people are probably walking around without knowing they have it. This disease is a silent battle within the largest organ of our body. Can you guess what that is? Well, being the largest organ in our body, it has about 500 different functions in combination with other organ functions. And so you can imagine this is doing a lot of work for our body. So I think we need to pay attention to this. Join me as we discover the hidden world of our liver's struggle against fat and how we can help our liver win against the war for this disease. I'm talking about fatty liver disease. Let's dive in. First is, what is the liver and where is it located? Here, I'll show you. The liver is a solid wedge-shaped organ, an unequal two-lobe, reddish-brown in color, and that's about 3.3 pounds of weight. Now, what does that really in comparison to? I am thinking maybe we should compare that to a standard men's basketball. It's about 2.5 times the weight of a standard men's basketball. Now it is located just below the diaphragm to the right of the stomach and above the gallbladder, as you can see. Now, being the largest organ in the body, it has a lot of functions, as I've said, about 500 different functions. And among the important functions of our liver are production of bile acids that help with digestion, particularly fat digestion and absorption, production of proteins for growth, the storing of iron needed to make blood, the regulating of sugar storage and converting them into energy when needed? And what about producing substances that help blood clot for wound healing? Can you imagine? If that is dysregulated, we cannot be healing our wound promptly. We could be bleeding. Now, the liver is also responsible for producing immune factors for immunity and removing bacteria and toxins in our body for detoxification. Among other things, those are just the major, but they are minor things that the liver also plays a role in combination with other organs. So the liver is really one of the major organs of the body that we need to pay attention to. Now, a healthy liver looks like this in the microscope. One on the left side is the normal liver. A healthy liver contains a small amount of fat. When I was in medical school, I tell you, and when we had a mobile, exam in histology, I knew I could never go wrong in identifying a liver specimen in the microscope. Why? It's so easy. Normal liver under the microscope looks like this. I'm just going to look for a well-organized rows of liver cells with big nucleus and just some occasional white round structures, which are the fat. Occasional is a keyword for normal liver architecture. Now, I also would not miss in my medical school, not miss identifying fatty liver specimen here on the right, because it's so easy to spot it. I'm just going to look for large fat droplets here represented by which you can see as your white big round structures. These are fats, my friends. Fat. It's so obvious. Now a normal liver tissue becomes like this when you have fatty liver. Now, when extra fat builds up in the liver and reaches maybe about 5 to 10% of your liver's weight, it becomes a problem. In the past, fatty liver disease was only found in people who drink alcohol. But eventually, fatty liver keep showing in those who don't even drink alcohol, and then worse, in children too. Not expect children to be drinking, right? And they could be too young to even drink, but they are now having fatty liver. An increasing number of obesity cases is driving an epidemic of a condition of excessive fat build up in the liver. That means we don't need to be an alcoholic or even drink alcohol to get fatty liver. We just need to be more fat, and we can get fatty liver, right? Now, fatty liver, there are two types of fatty liver disease. First is the alcoholic liver disease, and the second type is your non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. The non-alcoholic fatty liver disease is the more common type of liver disease, and it can be subdivided into two. First is the simple fatty liver, and the second is the non-alcoholic steatohepatitis, or NASH, non-alcoholic steatohepatitis, or NASH. Now, I want you to remember these two terms when you're not an alcoholic, because then if you are diagnosed with fatty liver, you could either be having this too as a first stage, if you're lucky, catch it at an early stage. 2, fatty liver, simple fatty liver, and the NASH. Now, these two terms, don't get confused with that, but you need to know the difference. Why? Because having a simple fatty liver does not cause liver-related sickness. Whereas the NASH means you have an inflamed liver or injured liver cells. Now, when your liver is inflamed, it can progress to more serious conditions like fibrosis or scarring of the liver, or liver cirrhosis and liver cancer. And later we're going to talk about that, how it progresses. So, who are at risk for fatty liver? Show you this nice slide here. Here you'll see. Let's talk about the non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So, non-alcoholic, not alcohol-related fatty liver. It affects about 30% of people in Western countries and 10% of people in Asia. Fatty liver occurs more in adult males. It also affects about 10% of children in the United States. And if we're talking about a global scale in children, the prevalence rate is estimated to be at 7.6% of children worldwide are now having fatty liver disease. The non-alcoholic fatty liver disease in Western countries is more prevalent in Hispanics more than Caucasians, and Black people have the lowest susceptibility. Therefore, you have a greater chance of developing fatty liver disease if you are a male, if you are Hispanic, or if you are Asian. More than 90% of heavy drinkers develop fatty liver. More than 90% of those who are heavy drinkers develop fatty liver. Majority of those that just started with fat liver will develop NASH, or simply inflammation of the liver. And that is a total different ballgame than just fatty liver, which you will understand later. Now, what are the signs and symptoms, and how do we diagnose fatty liver? Most individuals with fatty liver don't have symptoms. Again, most people with fatty liver don't have symptoms. If there are symptoms, it may just be occasional tiredness in general, or a pain or discomfort in the right upper side of your abdomen. But that's just that. Fatty liver disease is usually detected by accident when an abdominal ultrasound or CT scan or MRI of the abdomen is ordered by your doctor for another reason unrelated to liver issues. And then your doctor may be the first one to spot it because the radiologist can see from the imaging that your liver is starting to get infiltrated or filled with fat. Now, because fatty liver disease, it often has no symptoms, people would only know it until the disease has progressed to liver cirrhosis, or now the liver has already scarred. And by scarring, that's permanent. The most common sign we see in fatty liver is an elevated liver enzymes. Liver enzymes that can be measured in the blood test. This can be your AST or ALT, also termed as SGPT or SGOT. These are your liver enzymes that can go up in the blood test when your liver is inflamed, or in some not yet inflamed, but some fats have infiltrated already. But that's not a definitive diagnosis. To aid in the diagnosis, if your doctor told you, hey, your liver enzymes are high or are creeping up, then your first bet would be fatty liver, and second would be an inflamed liver, which have other reasons that we need to look we need to look for in order to determine the cause of the inflammation. But to aid in the diagnosis, your doctor may order an ultrasound of the liver or a CT scan to get a picture of the liver. But the confirmatory and the most definitive diagnostic tests for um, liver, fatty liver, or any kind of liver disease is biopsy. So the liver biopsy can determine how far advanced the liver disease has progressed. But in practical sense, the elevation of the liver enzymes, which can be checked in the blood, are found in 50% of patients with simple fatty liver. Now, the most accurate test is, of course, as I mentioned, is the liver biopsy. In order to measure the amount of liver inflammation or fat progression or scarring, or unfortunately, if there's already some tumor growing in the liver. But because of the cost of the liver biopsy and infrequent complications, this makes the liver biopsy really very impractical in our world today. Now, what about the causes of fatty liver? You know, when you are at risk, or who are at risk, right? You know what the symptoms are, and really not very much in specific. You know how to diagnose, but then what are the causes of fatty liver? When you get handed with, a diagnosis, the most striking question we ask ourselves, like, what caused this? So, fatty liver, there are a couple of items in the list that are causing us to be at risk for fatty liver. One is alcohol. Alcohol use is one of the causes of fatty liver because one, it can prevent the body from breaking down fats. And if fats are not broken down, they need to get stored somewhere. And liver can be a repository, or a big organ to accommodate that fat. Another thing is that alcohol can also produce chemicals that can directly injure and become toxic to the liver tissue itself. So it's a direct injury to the liver, and plus it stops the or prevents the metabolism of alcohol, metabolism of fat, and thereby the body cannot properly metabolize the fat. Second cause of fatty liver is diabetes or insulin resistance. So if you are diabetic or pre-diabetic, or at risk for diabetes, you could be also at risk for fatty liver. Third, obesity. Obesity or overweight or excess weight, however you call that. Being obese or overweight, studies suggest that 5 to 10% of, listen to this, children who are obese or overweight, 5 to 10% of children who are obese and overweight have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. And non-alcoholic fatty liver disease has become more common in children in recent studies, in recent decades, in part because of childhood obesity. And it has now become more common for us to see fatty liver in our children nowadays. And they're still young. Later, you understand the urgency to address this, because fatty liver will not stay just fatty liver. Now, let's say you're not obese and you don't drink alcohol. You may not know this, but about 20% of normal weight people have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, despite no evidence of excessive alcohol consumption. Again, you're not obese, you're not overweight, you don't drink much alcohol. There's 20% of this normal weight people who could still develop fatty liver disease. Why is that? That really is a big number and quite, concerning. But why is that? Simple. you probably need to look at your diet. There is no way that fat and excess sugar accumulate in the biggest organ of our body, in the liver, without getting into our mouth first. It's just that simple. Another cause for fatty liver, high blood cholesterol. Again, it's in the food. Consumption of animal products, which is naturally laden with cholesterol and also high in saturated fat. A diet rich in excess sugar, processed foods, high amount of protein that is not consumed by the body can all be converted to fat. Another cause, fatty liver, viruses. And hepatitis virus are very notorious in causing liver problems. Drugs are also cause of some drugs like amiodarone, methotrexate, even steroids can increase your risk for fatty liver. Other causes which are not so common are inflammatory conditions, celiac disease, HIV, hepatitis C, and some metabolic deficiencies. But those are rare. So, again, the risk factors of and causes of liver disease, if you are paying attention to those lists, are actually dietary and lifestyle related. But remember these three diseases that can very much increase your risk for fatty liver. One, diabetes or pre-diabetes or borderline diabetes. And if you are at risk for diabetes. Two, second disease, high cholesterol. Third, obesity. There you go. You have now the risk factors, the causes, the understanding of how to spot and diagnose fatty liver. But here's the thing: we don't want to leave you with an empty-handed in an empty-handed situation where you don't know what to do. Well, we have hope on how we can reverse this disease. But before going to that, I want to talk about survival. All right, now let's talk about survival and prognosis. Prognosis and survival. So here's the progression. And if there's a slide that you can take home today, this one would be the best kind of summary so that you'll understand the urgency, or you'll understand the need to pay attention to our liver. All right. So here we're starting with a normal liver. But in the presence, you can increase your risk of developing a non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, non-alcoholic fatty liver, especially when you are already obese or have diabetes or have high cholesterol. As I've mentioned earlier, these are the three, trio, like a trio. You don't need to have all of this, but just one of this can increase significantly your risk for developing a fatty liver disease, even in the absence of alcohol consumption. Now, from fatty liver, 10 to 25% develops into NASH, or inflammation of the liver, where here destruction of the liver tissue is happening. And when your liver tissue starts getting bombarded with inflammation and free radicals from oxidation, it can further enhance or speed up the damage in the liver. And that's why 20% um, of inflamed liver, NASH, progress to cirrhosis. Cirrhosis is scarring of the liver, scarring of the liver. And in when the liver is already scarred and in cirrhotic, uh, that is irreversible. Again, when cirrhosis has settled in, that is irreversible, and there is very, very nil chance of improving your liver function. Now, if somebody has an inflamed liver, non-alcoholic steatohepatitis or hepatitis, this can progress to not only cirrhosis, which is scarring of the liver and end-stage liver disease, but it can also progress to liver cancer. If it's alcohol-related inflammation of the liver, less than 10% can progress to liver cancer. If it's non-alcoholic related, guess what? The chance of developing liver cancer is even higher. I hope that you get that. Even if you're not drinking alcohol and you already have inflammation of the liver, NASH, non-alcoholic steatohepatitis, 45% chance of developing to liver cancer. So this entire process is silent and can be symptom-free until you hit this stage, NASH, or simply liver inflammation. Some people don't even have symptoms at all until their liver is now found to be scarred because the liver stops or has decline in its function. Remember the functions? A lot of functions. The liver has got a lot of things to do for us, but when it is scarred, then those functions like ability to clot your blood when you're bleeding, ability to defend yourself from infection, ability to make proteins, ability to make or store iron for blood production, so you become anemic. So these now are the complications of end-stage liver disease. And unfortunately, many people are diagnosed late because there's no monitoring and there's no awareness and of these silent disease. But here's the good news. Although there's no approved drug to reverse and to treat fatty liver, we do know that if we start taking care of our liver, of our body, and avoiding the situations that puts our liver into more harm, and I'm talking about addressing obesity, addressing diabetes, addressing high cholesterol. These, my friends, can significantly reduce your risk for fatty liver and even, in most cases, reverse it. So there are many things that we can do, even though there's still no approved drug for fatty liver reversal. And here are the couple of things. Before I go over this list, I want you to remember, if you are obese, that would be your first management, is to get that weight off. I'd recommend reducing your caloric intake by 30%, or that would look like 750 to 1,000 calories per day. So the goal is really to get to your ideal body weight. If you are a diabetic, please understand what caused your diabetes, and I do have videos on that. I'll try to cover that again in my succeeding videos, but address the root cause of what's feeding your liver fat. Now, how am I going to start? Where am I going to start? Simple. If you're drinking alcohol, then stop drinking alcohol. Now that you understand that fatty liver does not stay fatty liver throughout your life, it's going to progress whether you like it or not. Refer to this slide to understand more about that. But fatty liver will not stay fatty liver. It will very likely progress. So if you're drinking alcohol, stop drinking alcohol. Although there's still too much debate on how much and really, do I really need to get off alcohol? The best is just to really avoid it, because we know how alcohol can biochemically affect the liver function, as I've explained a while ago. Second, make sure that you're not taking any medications that are toxic to the liver. Know that even acetaminophen may be helpful, may be harmful if you take too much for too long. And if you have already liver disease, get vaccinated to protect against hepatitis A and B viruses. You can control other health conditions that might affect your liver, and you have to work with your doctor. Have that honest discussion. What are your underlying treatable diseases that's contributing to your fatty liver? And you know that, right? Diabetes, high cholesterol, and obesity. And then last but not the least, get regular screening tests for your liver. And it may not be, just to check out if you have liver cancer, or get an imaging studies. You can start with a simple blood test and get your liver enzymes checked. I hope that I have enlightened you to take care of your health through this video. I feel that since fatty liver is no longer just affecting alcohol drinkers, but anybody, even children, regardless of age, it is a silent disease that, just like hypertension, is sneaking into our household, our body, our own body, that you need to be aware of. Fatty liver is a disease that everyone is at risk, including our children. It is dietary and lifestyle driven that can lead to liver failure or cirrhosis. That's irreversible. And it can also lead to liver cancer. The good news is fatty liver is at an early stage of the more serious diseases, but it does open up for a gateway for those serious, non-treatable, and irreversible conditions. So why not take action now before that progress? So we can reverse fatty liver disease if we change our diet and lifestyle, a diet that is predominantly a whole food, plant-based diet. Avoid meat and meat products, dairy, poultry, since those as animals contain naturally cholesterol and saturated fat. And for people who are struggling with their weight, that would be your first focus, is to get that weight down. Change our lifestyle, including avoidance of alcohol, and that you can help your liver recover and get healthier. At the same time, for those who are not afflicted with this condition, you can significantly reduce your risk for getting fatty liver disease. I hope that this video has been helpful. Thank you for watching this video. Join me every week here on Lifestyle Changers MD. This is every Sunday, 7 a.m. Pacific Time or 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And to my kababayans in the Philippines, that's Sunday, 11 p.m. Bye for now. See you next week.